Mike Valla calls Art Winnie's Michigan hopper the patriarch of many hopper patterns. It's possibly the first of the hopper patterns that used turkey quill for the wings. I'm using the recipe and the photograph for this fly from Mike Valla's The Founding Flies. Black thread on a number 8 extra long hook. The recipe says either an 8 or a 10. For the tail, I'm using some dyed red goose shoulder, but any red quill will work. And I'm tying it so that the curve of the tail goes up. Try to get that to cinch down nicely on top of the hook. I'll see if I can get it to stand up. I guess it doesn't really matter if it doesn't. I guess if it folds over itself, that's fine too. And then I can cut out the waist. I don't need to add any bulk to the body. The body is yellow chenille. So when the chenille is tied in, strip off the fibers to expose just the bare thread underneath and tie it in by the bare thread. And I'll just bring that all the way back to where I have the tail tied in at the beginning of the bend. And then just bring my thread up out of the way to the front of the hook. And then I'll do touching wraps with the chenille. This is different than what was later known to be called Joe's hopper, in that it does not have a palmered hackle over the body. I'm going to leave a little more than an eye length bare at the front, where I will be tying in the wing and the front hackle. So a few wraps, 3 over the top, and then do some tight wraps underneath. The first wraps catch it in, the second wrap secure it, and cut off the chenille. I'm using turkey for the wing, and I want to slip a little bit less, I think, than the width of the hook. So one of the ways that you can measure slips is to use a hook and put it into the feather and run it through, and that'll separate out. That gives me a slip that's about the size of the hook. So I want 2 of those, one from opposing feathers. I'm going to wrap the wings in separately, and I want them to kind of make a tent over the body. So I'll just lay that against the edge of the body, and I'm tying it with the tip forward. This cut end will become the back of the wing, and I'm going to trim that to shape. And then try to just hold that wing against the body so that it lays down against the length of the body. Wrap back up over the chenille. Clip out the tip waste material. I'll turn that over and do the same with the other side. Get those lined up. And then I'll be covering all of this front with the hackle. The recipe calls for a ginger hackle feather, so I'm going to cut the butt end off of that, get the darker stuff out of there, give it a crew cut, and the hackles 1 to 1.5 the length of the gape. The crew cut gives the thread something to hang on to make sure that that hackle feather does not slide out. I'm tying it with the shiny side up, although in a contemporary wet or dry fly we would do the shiny side in so that the hackles bend forward, but I don't think it really matters that much in this fly. And I'm not using a contemporary genetically engineered hackle. This is an older, probably India or Chinese cape, more in keeping what Art Winnie would have used in the 1940s. Go ahead and catch that tip in. And I can let go. I'll try to pull everything back. If I wet my fingers, it works a little bit better to grab all the hackle fibers. Now, I don't want those fibers to lay back, but I do want to catch in that tip for the head. And then I can just find that tip in there and snap it out. Get those wings to lay down together. I'm going to put a whip finish on it. Try not to trap any of the hackle barbs as I put a whip finish on it. I'll just push my scissors against the thread. That way I don't cut any of the hackle barbs. And then I'm going to trim these wings. I want them to have an angle on the bottom and a shorter angle on the top. And I would like it if they would sit together a little bit better than that, but I will put a drop of diluted goop on the head. And then just to make sure that that eye is clean and tip it ready, I will pass a feather through the eye and clean it out.